Yo, what's up, family? Before we start the video, please leave a like, subscribe, and share to any and everyone that you can. Just read out there a little bit more. With that being said, let's get right into the video. All right, how y'all doing? I hope y'all doing good. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not, make sure you take your shoes off before you come in the house. And the Celtics offense was really running beautifully in this game. They had some low points, but they did a phenomenal job. And it looked like there was a real emphasis on hitting the road man, whether that's Cater, whether that's Garza. And it's not just for those guys to score, but it opens up the offense so much. And Cater showed in this game he can finish and he can make plays out of that short roll too. So just being able to get the ball to the roll man did a lot for this offense, and they ran sets and actions and handoffs, stuff like that, that takes advantage of that tag man, which I'll show, and the Celtics can do a lot out of that. So here this first play is pistol 77 single. So the Celtics have run pistol keep this year. They run a little bit of pistol action. The Spurs used to run a lot more with Victor. They still running some today, but the quickest way to identify pistol action, you'll have a guy coming up the court, and there will always be a guy right here. You can run it on either side of the court, but there will be a guy coming up. He can either pass the ball, he can hand it off to this guy, or he can fake this handoff and he can go in for an easy layup. But usually always in pistol action, there will be a guy coming up the court, and there will be somebody right here in this exact same area. It's usually a three-man game, but the Celtics can parlay a lot of stuff into this. And a lot of times when teams run pistol, you can kind of see the triangle right there. So you have like this. It's not a perfect triangle, but a lot of times you'll be able to see it. All right, so that is the pistol side of things. Then the next is 77. 77 is just two on-ball screens. Some people call it double drag. You know, it just means the same thing. So two on-ball screens here. So we got one by Jordan Walsh, and then we got one by Neemias Queta, right? And the Celtics, of course, like I said, they did a phenomenal job of hitting the roll man a lot more in this game. And a lot of that comes with manipulating the tag man. So the tag man on defense is responsible for hitting this roll man so he doesn't just get an open layup, or like stand with this man just long enough so his teammate can get back to his man. So in this game, Jock Landale did a lot of hedging on a pick and roll. So when Jock Landale hedges the pick and roll, that means there's two on the ball for half a second or a second, which means the Celtics are creating 2-on-1s or 3-on-2 opportunities, which is what Missoula ball is, right? So we got this 3-on-2 right here, right? So we got this shell of 3-on-2. Jaren Jackson's responsibility is to make sure Queta does not get this easy layup. So he's going to step to Queta just a little bit, right? So Jock Landale comes back. While that's happening, he turns his back on this side, which then creates a 2-on-1. So we had a 3-on-2. He takes away Queta, so now there's a 2-on-1. Now this is the single part. The single is just one pin down screen. So it's just a single pin down screen. While Jaren Jackson is occupied with Neemias Queta, Walsh is going to set this pin down for Derek White, and he's going to come off and curl, and he's going to be able to get some open space and at least a foul. All right, so here the Celtics run 77 again, not pistol 77, just regular 77, but this time it's 77 slip. So of course 77, you got two on-ball screens right here, one by Jordan Walsh and one by Neemias Queta. But on this, you see how much space is created from that first screen. You see how much space Pritchard has from Spencer, right? So Queta, there's no need for Queta to sit here and try to set this screen, because Peyton Pritchard already has ample amount of space to turn the corner. So if he was just to sit here and wait for Cam Spencer to come over here to set this screen, it'll be easier for Jock Landale to come out and hedge Pritchard, right? So he slips this, which immediately creates a drop coverage by Jock Landale, right? He's dropping back. So as he rolls, again, we talk about this tag man, right? So Jaren Jackson is again tasked with tagging. But the thing about tagging is you still have a man that you're responsible for. So he's tagging just to help his teammate, but his man is Walsh, right? So he can't sit here for this entire play and actually switch on to Queta. And if he was to switch, that means Jock Landale or Cam Spencer will have to run back to Jordan Walsh in time before Peyton Pritchard passes the ball to him. So the tag is just temporary in most cases. So Jaren Jackson will put his hands on Queta, but great recognition by Peyton Pritchard, knowing that Jaren Jackson is the tag man and that his main responsibility is not to switch on to Neemias Queta, close to pass up, and a finish. All right, so as you see, Joe Mazzulla calling out chess. He says chess. And I've detailed like Horn's chess from like 3 years ago. The Celtics have always used this action, especially with shooters like Sam Hauser. They use it for Jaylen Brown to get him a shot, or just to get him going downhill off a flare screen. But chess is when you set an on-ball screen. This can either be an actual on-ball screen, it could be a ghost screen, but it's an on-ball screen followed by a flare. That is horrible. It's an on-ball screen followed by a flare screen. So the screen setter, the on-ball screen setter, is going to receive a flare screen after he sets that. So Sam Hauser is going to set this screen on KCP. He's going to come out and receive a flare from Luka Garza. So he sets it right there. Garza is going to be there for the flare screen. All right, so you see what this creates, right? So after the flare screen, right, Santi Aldama has to step up to Sam Hauser because his teammate is lagging behind. This opens up this role from Luka Garza, because the Grizzlies aren't switching, right? They just want their bigs to come out for a second just so their teammate can come back. So this opens Garza for this roll. And you see what this does to KCP and Jaren Jackson Jr. Because he's rolling open, they'll step in for a second in the event that this pass is going to go here. So you see what KCP does, he steps in for a second. You're going to see on the corner, you see what Jaren Jackson does, he steps in for a second. Now, because KCP has stepped in for a second because of the Garza roll, now he has to close out to Anthony Simons from basically the elbow, right? Anthony Simons catches the ball on the move right there. He drives. Now that Santi Aldama is right here, that means Cedric Howard has to come over here and take his spot and pick up on Garza, which leaves Derek White open in the corner, and he hits his corner three. All right, so the Celtics run Ram 77. Ram is an off-ball screen set for somebody to go set a ball screen, and you guys know what 77 is, just 2 consecutive on-ball screens. So what happens here? Well, Katie gets a phenomenal finish there, right? But so what happens here, right? So the Ram off-ball screen by Hugo Gonzalez for Katie to go set the ball screen on Jalen Wells. Now, we talked about the Grizzlies hedging, right? At this point, the Celtics know that the Grizzlies are hedging a lot of their pick and rolls, right? So what Kate's going to do, he's going to do it and he's going to slip because he knows that this hedge is coming regardless, right? So if he slips out of it, that means there'll be 2 on the ball for just a half a second, and he's able to get open, right? And then the second screen by Gonzalez, it doesn't even really have to happen because there's nobody for him to screen. So Katie gets the ball and he immediately gets into a handoff with Anthony Simons, right? Katie sets a good screen, getting separation, which means Omax Prosper has to come up a little bit to Anthony Simons. And Anthony Simons with a great pocket pass, great catch by Katie, and a great finish. All right, I've been seeing the Celtics run this action a lot this season. I didn't really know how to categorize it. And it looks like something, but it's not like in the same exact position. So, but I'll jump the ship here. All right, so here I believe the Celtics are running pistol, Bilbo, zoom. So again, you see the pistol, right? The pass goes there. You see the 2 guys, Peyton Pritchard comes up on the court. The pass goes right there, right? Bilbo, it's like stagger action, but the stagger screens are like horizontal. They're usually right at the top of the key. So the Warriors use this a lot in the post, right? Draymond Green will get the ball and then they'll have off-ball action and stuff like that. But it's usually with one guy here, and then the third guy who's like receiving the pass or who just passed the ball, he'll come over here and then he'll screen. And then they'll run this action here, right? So, but the Celtics are running it a little bit like off to the side, right? So their regular stagger screens will usually be somebody in the corner. One will be here and one will be here. That's why I think it's different from like the regular stagger action, because the screens are a little horizontal, right? So the Bilboa is just like a stagger twirl, right? So when you have 2 stagger screens, right? Stagger twirl, they'll twirl the first screen, then this guy will come out. But what happens with the Celtics do, almost always, the guy's gonna twirl this first screen, right? And then the center's gonna come out, right? The center's gonna come out. Now, this is smart because as this guy curls this first screen, again, Jaren Jackson Jr. has a responsibility to make sure that that guy doesn't just cut all free to the basket. And it also helps that Kata is a non-shooting center, so the center is always gonna elect to back up and help on the cut, then to guard Kata. So what Kata's gonna do, he's gonna come out. This is either Kata or Garza, but then they immediately get into zoom action. Zoom, a dribble handoff in which the handoff receiver gets a pin down first. So it's a pin down into a dribble handoff. So as Pritchard gets this handoff now, the tag man in this situation is Spencer, and all of what the Celtics have been doing in this game is creating like high tag men. So usually the tag in the pick and roll, they'll usually be here. They'll be low, they'll be guarding the guy in the corner, and then there'll be this roll happening, right? But the Celtics forced the Grizzlies to tag super high in this game, and that just makes it so much harder to actually tag. Now, Jaren Jackson isn't the tag man here because he's directly involved in the pick and roll, right? So he has to step up to Pritchard because he sees how much space Pritchard got from Vince Williams Jr., right? So now he has to step up a little bit. Again, the responsibility of this tag man is to hit Kata just for a second so Jaren Jackson can get back. But for small forwards and like shooting guards, they don't really want to get mixed up in here that much, especially when you have a shooter, well, in theory, a shooter like Shaman, but guards really don't want to tag that much. Like it's a super taxing job to hit a big man, then be able to come out back to the 3. Sometimes they just don't do it well. So Pritchard will wait it out and allow it to Kata. All right, so here, same exact play. They're going to enter it into Jordan Walsh, so that's the pistol. Then you got the Bilbo here right there, but Sam Hauser, again, he cuts, but he doesn't twirl the first one. So he's going to cut after the second one, right? Again, Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to step back, and this man goes with his man, so that means Kata is going to be open, right? Kata gets it, and watch this screen by Billy Shaman. Boom. That completely opens up everything, right? He didn't have to do all this on the first zoom action on the previous play, but he does that here to KCP, and it just completely opens up Pritchard for a 3. But that is a video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, subscribe, and share to any and every one that you can. Just read out there a little bit more. Now, we'll see you guys next video. But this is Nick. Peace.